Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. If Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers, where's the peck of pickled peppers Peter Piper picked?
Okay, so got us a collaboration beer from New Belgium and Cigar City. It's the Lips of Faith series. Okay, this is 8.5% alcohol by volume. I've been drinking it already. Okay. So it's aged on cedarwood. And it's got a Belgian yeast and some very citrusy hops. Says so right on the bottle. It's brewed with Anaheim and Marish peppers. So I had this a lot cooler because I was kind of thinking, oh, it's going to be a pale ale. You know, sometimes I like to drink them cooler. And I forgot that it had a Belgian yeast in it. And so I drank it. I've been drinking a little bit cooler. And so it started to really open up. And I was like, oh, you know what? I need to do this review a bit warmer. So I threw the beer on the heater. So let's continue where we left off, shall we? Maybe I'll air both of them if they're both worthy of being aired. But I think the beer really picked up right away with a little bit of degassing and a slight rise in temperature. So I put on the heater for a bit, but it's still not real hot or nothing. You know what I mean? All right. So let's check this out. That looks pretty nice. Got kind of a typical pale ale color here. I kind of forgot about the... Started tasting out the Belgian yeast and says, wait a minute. So, not a whole lot of aroma there. You know, the head's maybe like locking it in there. Maybe we'll drink a bit. Then we'll do the shelter thing. I gotta get used to doing the shelter thing. Oh. Whoa. Got a real dry, gritty mouthfeel texture. Kind of like I get that out of a lot of rye beers. I'm just assuming that's what it comes from. Maybe that's not always what it comes from. It doesn't. I don't believe it mentions rye on the label. Yeah, it doesn't mention. It just mentions the Spanish cedar, citrusy hops, the Belgian yeast, Marish, and Anaheim peppers. Yeah, so Spanish cedar is a replacement wood for Honduras mahogany. Bam! If you didn't know that, so a lot of guitar luthiers are using Spanish cedar now. Oh, there's the peppers. Yeah, it was too cold, you couldn't get the peppers, and so I was getting the burn in the stomach, a little bit of the burn, but I wasn't getting like the pepper flavor. Now I'm getting a lot of pepper flavor in the finish for sure. Like it's not overly warm. It's definitely a little bit cooler than the cellar temperature, but this beer is just singing now. So, not the biggest New Belgium fan. Believe it or not, a lot of people really like the brewery. I just find a lot of their beers a little bit on the like a little bit weaker than I want. I like a little bit more of a full beer. Their beers are a little bit light. Let's say like it's like a light version of a lot of craft beers. I'm not saying all their beers are light, just like a lot of the ones I've tried, I found a bit on the lighter side. But I haven't tried a lot of their higher ABV stuff though. So this is the collaboration with Cigar City, which I've never had Cigar City stuff before. So I was kind of excited about that. I don't think it is bottle conditioned. I don't notice any like big yeast cake in there. I kind of assumed that it would be. Is that more cloudy now? It appeared to get more cloudy anyway. It's a bit hazy on its own, but yeah, it's kind of odd to me. Most of the Belgian beers I drink are bottle conditioned. This may be like maybe one of the first ones I've had that isn't. It's weird. Yeah. So it's kind of like a mix between a pale ale, you know, because of the grain bill and the citrusy hops, and then the Belgian yeast. So it's kind of like a mix between I'd say like a Belgian triple and a pale ale, but the yeast is very subdued. It's not like the big, major clovey yeast. Like it's not like a Duvel or something, but you are getting it. Like I didn't notice it. I'm like, this is Belgian yeast or something. It is very dry, like an American ale, like American pale ale, though. So it's kind of like a pretty good hybrid um, for a collaboration beer to kind of bring those two styles together uh, so well. It's kind of nice. The peppers are that's juicy in the back. It's like almost like grilled peppers. It's a pretty good like green pepper type red pepper grilled flavor. I don't know if I've ever had Anaheim or Marish chilies before, but it is kind of tasting kind of like that. Like roasted peppers, I find are pretty good. Always nice. Always. I like them in my cooking, whatever. Now the hops have like really now that it's like warmed up, it's almost like the hops have died down to kind of let a little bit more of the grain bill show through, and not so much the yeast, but more so the peppers. So you're getting more like the more of the grain bill and the peppers now, and it'll probably morph at different temperatures. Like this is a beer, I wouldn't want to drink it any colder than any colder than this, right? Like I say, it's cool. It's not cold. A little bit of dankness in the back, a little bit of a overripened fruit. I think that might be coming from the chilies or something. I'm just an assumption. I'm not 100% sure on that. But you are getting like that kind of like that bitter flavor you get out of the Belgian. Like you're kind of getting that heavy, sticky, bitter Belgian yeast finish. And I guess some of those Belgian yeast do bring quite a lot of dryness to the beers. So it's kind of like tricking your mind into like, is this an American ale yeast or is it a Belgian yeast? Because there are some, they're both quite dry. I find so. Anyway, with that, like those two styles, like American Pale Ale and some of these Belgian like triple kind of things. So yeah, it's interesting. And I'm just talking up my ass maybe a little bit. I'm trying to, this is like a beer you're going to have to maybe contemplate a little bit. Like it is that weird, So like maybe if I do talk up my ass a little bit, like, so forgive me. I don't know. I'm just trying my best. There might be some ass talking. Then now I get a huge Belgian yeast aromas. Now it's like smelling like Le Fin du Monde. It really is. Cool. This is where I got to do this with my Belgian beers. I have to. So I highly recommend the Schwirl. Just have a glass, you can fucking Schwirl fucking shit, you know what I mean? Oh, great. It's like Le Fin du Monde mixed with like grilled peppers. It's really cool. Damn. Now this has turned into a beer. So yeah, definitely drink this at a cellar temperature. Guaranteed. And at 8.5, holy shit, like I am just getting like smashed in a hurry. Like, and I took a drink of this, and within about a minute, no more than a minute, I could feel the alcohol in my bloodstream because it was going down so fast, cold. So easy drinking like that. There is kind of like a stale mustiness, kind of a dankness to it that I can't really ignore, but it's nothing like too unpleasant or anything. This is a lot better than the last pale Belgian high ABV beer I had by leagues. Damn it! Like the dryness and the finish is really kind of like the icing on the cake here. It really has a nice dry finish. The head kind of like I don't know. It's kind of like a sizzle. If you know what I mean, it finishes like this. Yeah. Tightens up, you know what I mean? And the Belgian yeast is kind of fantastic, like what it can do to the beer. Kind of gives it like and the hops as well. I mean, they're quite a bit of hops. Kind of gives that oily kind of that oily type viscosity to the beer. I find in a lot of the like these pale Belgian styles, and in IPAs, it maybe a slight different because it's coming more so from the hops. And maybe it has something to do with the high ABV as well. Yeah, at 8.5. This is a really cool beer. I actually really recommend picking up the New Belgium and Cigar City collaboration. If you can still get it, I don't know if this is probably just a limited run, but there's still a few more at the outlet. I got this at Liquor Depot. So I might go back for another one, actually, and I don't usually repeat buy very many beers at all, but this one's kind of cool. And like it was pretty competitive too. It was like I don't know, $9 ish, which for an 8.5% ABV beer up here in Canada, that's not out of line for to pay that for the bomber. Yeah, the yeast aromas are really much more similar to like what you would get off a Le Fin du Monde for aroma, and for the color to the malt bill and stuff. So yeah, I kind of am impressed with this, really. Damn. Yeah, the peppers kind of give it a really weird finish. It really kind of a little bit of quirkiness. So if you're looking for a Belgian style beer that's a little bit different, really the only thing that's really the you know what, in that Spanish cedar, I wasn't really thinking about that till now. I just like maybe I should try and taste it out because like the finish is pretty complex, muddled and weird, and maybe that has something to do with the Spanish cedar. I don't know. I've never worked with Spanish cedar to know what it's like or what it smells like. I've worked with regular cedar. I mean, there's more than one variety of that too, but I'm not noticing the wood so much, but maybe it has something to do with that extra dry finish. I would imagine it is slightly more aromatic. Like there's kind of like a backbone. Yeah, maybe that is the cedar, like an underlying aromatic cedar tone. If you've ever been in like a sauna room, it kind of maybe just have a bit of that kind of underlying, like starting right after the start and kind of all through it, just kind of underwriting a lot of those flavors. And then the peppers make it a bit dirty, a bit musty. But like they kind of have that grilled taste to them. Cool. I don't know if they grilled them or not. This is what I'm tasting, which is super awesome because grilled peppers are the shit. Okay, long review, 12 minutes, but this is a fucking neat beer. This is one of the cooler beers I've had in a little while, so I'm gonna take my time with it. Right. Well, if this is a competitive price near you, definitely get it if you think you'd like this kind of thing. Super cool dry finish is like the highlight of the beer. Yeah, I definitely was giving it lower rates cold, so definitely make sure you got this at the right temperature. But I would say I'm going to 9.9 it out of 11. Yeah! Pretty easy. It's a little bit... Since I've had Le Fin du Monde and stuff like that, I'm going to say, because I've had Le Fin du Monde, like, it definitely is not an 11 out of 11. But it's definitely, like, nipping at the heels of that kind of thing. But definitely, because if you're looking for something a little more custom, like a custom brew, this is definitely probably up there with what you're going to get for that type of thing. So, Beerzerker! I recommend getting this beer. It's pretty fucking cool. I'm enjoying it.